So the way that this has all sort of worked for me is habit forming is one of the most important things. And even with habit forming, it doesn't have to be every day. And I think that's something that's missed. And I think that's something that's lost in translation or doesn't sell, whatever that might be. I don't know, but I'm just going to say it as I see it. I don't believe to create a habit, you have to do it every day. I believe if you do it every day, it's a lot easier for it to become a habit, but it doesn't mean necessarily that you have to do it every day. So I think habit forming is the sort of primary foundation to personal growth, personal development, allowing yourself to make action, allowing yourself to move out of ruts, out of dark places, out of scenarios that you don't want to be in, essentially. I think it's the simplest and easiest and ironically quickest way to essentially change your outlook, your mission, your motivations. It's inherent. It becomes part of you. So like I said at the beginning of this, for me, this week, coming into the office every day, getting ready, making an effort to come to the office, there was no pressure on what was on the other side of the office. There was no pressure to achieve anything. It was simply to just sort of, I guess, get routine again. Is probably the core reasoning behind it. But yeah, essentially it was to just come to the office and achieve that. So that was like, you look at that and you're like, Lewis, that isn't something that you should be aiming to do. You're meant to be driving this business forward. You're meant to be encouraging men to become better. You're meant to be a mouthpiece of what is going to be masculinity and this sort of multi-purpose driven individual. You can't set a week goal of coming into the office. Well, I can, because I did, and I'm human and I'm not a superhero, and I truly do believe that it's fine to have those sort of weeks. I don't think you should have them all the time, and I think I've been there, I've done that, and it's something that I'm now in a position that I can self-define and self-see, and I have the tools to sort of move forward. And that's how I see sort of habit forming is you choose it at the times that you need it to be part of your life. Don't get me wrong, there are things that I do previously to this week and that I will continue to do in the future that are significantly more higher level than coming into the office every day. They are things that I've done in the past, but this is what I'm saying. A habit isn't consistently every day. It's sold to you like that. It's sold to you that you have to do it every day, because that creates failure, and failure is your fault, not their fault. If it's your fault, it's not the program's fault. You failed, not the program. See it? See why they're selling to you? See how you're buying the next one? So that for me is how I see it. So it starts with habit forming, and it's not every day. It's consistent. Consistent is actually, ironically, mathematically, more than half. It's just more than half. If you do something more than half the time, you consistently do it. That is the number. That is the break point. Obviously, the higher you can make that number, the better it will be. But consistency is doing something more than half the time, because that is you are doing it more than half the time. So therefore, that is essentially the norm. Like, if you flip a coin, it's heads or tails. So, but if you can flip a coin 3 times, and 2 of those times you know it's going to be heads, then you can consistently say that this coin is a heads coin. We can't do that with a coin, but you can do that as a human. So anything over 50% is consistent. And that is a long way from perfection, because perfection is one number and one number only. It's 100%. So 50.1% or 100 is a huge difference. And that difference is reality. Perfectionism is what you see online, is what you see every day, is what you see people striving towards, is what these influencers trying to sell you. Reality, consistency lives in this 51 to 99%. The bigger your number, the more consistent you're going to be, the better it naturally is going to be. That is true. There's no denying that. If you do something every day, you will be better at it. You will be more comfortable at it. It will feel more normal. It will feel part of you if you are doing it more. But it doesn't mean that it's still not consistent to do it every 3 days, for example. So you do 3 days, 2 days off, 3 days. You are still consistently doing something. It's just at a slower rate. And that is a mindset change, and it allows you to start to move forward. It changes your perception from perfection to consistent. At the moment, it's either on or off, analog. You're either doing it or you're not. And if you're constantly having failures, so you're constantly doing and then you fail, you constantly do and you fail, do fail, that is going to break even the toughest man. Like failure after failure after failure after failure after failure is not good for anyone. And that is how it's being sold to you, is that you're either on or off. You're either consistent or you're not. And that is not consistency. I play golf, which is, thankfully, it's becoming a more popular sport, so that hopefully these analogies will make more sense. But the way that a golfer is judged in the professional realm is not how good they are on their good day, but how good they are on their bad day. So how good is their bad shot? That's what makes a good golfer. And when it comes to this, when it comes to self-development, when it comes to personal growth, when it comes to finding purposes or challenging yourself as a man, it's the same. It's what is your low? How do we make the low the most consistent it can be? That is what will drive things forward. That is what will allow you to develop as a man, is having that low. If your low is zero and failure, it's very hard to build from there. So the habit forming and the consistency at any level is what drives things forward. It's what allows you to grow. It allows you to create a new base. It allows you to create a new norm. But if you're trying to create that new norm with extremes, for example, a Project 50 or a 75 hard, or you're listening to Goggins and you feel like a piece of shit because you go to the gym 3 times a week instead of every day, you are none of those things. But the way that your perception of it is failure. So you're not able to create any base to build from. So you're just stuck in a rut. You're stuck in a position. You feel like you are trying to get out of it, but the failure is holding you back. Whereas if you can recalibrate your brain and recalibrate how you feel or your perception of consistency, you will be able to get yourself into a better position.